Hi everyone. I hope you stay safe during this pandemic. And this is our podcast. My name is June.
My name is Phi.
Yes. And what are we here today for, Fi?
Well, we are here today to discuss and analyze a story called The Giver, written by Louis Rowley. And also, we will include an analysis of the story through the reader response lens too. So before we analyze the novel, let's summarize the story first. June, if you may.
Yes, of course. Well, the story of the giver is seen through the eyes of a young boy whose name is Jonas. Jonas is born into a community where disease, hunger, war never happened. In his world, once the children reach the age of 12, the header of the community, which is known as the Committee of Elders, will choose suitable jobs for the children, which they will be stuck in for the rest of their lives. Unlike other kids, Jonas was chosen for the most honorable job called the receiver of memory. After Jonas began his training with the receiver, who was called himself the giver. After becoming Jonas' teacher, Jonas learned that the lives that he and everyone else has lived were nothing but a big charade. Thus, Jonas and the giver came up with a plan to force the citizen to give up the sameness, which is Jonas running away, because all of the memory will return to them. Jonas and all little Gabriel traveled for days, starving and tired. They reached to the top of the snow hill where they found a sled. They rode the sled down to the hill to be greeted by the light and Christmas song. Whatever happened to the poor boys remains ambiguous. And that is the end of the summary part.
Thank you so much for the lovely summary. So let's move on to the analysis part.
Yes.
Let's begin with a simple questions. How do you feel about the story? What do you like and dislike about the story?
Well, for me, I think that it is quite an astonishing story, isn't it? Do you think? I have never read anything like this before, but I think that I've watched some of the movies in this kind of plot. Yeah, like a lot of movies that had this kind of plot before. I would like to say that I really enjoyed reading this, as the plot is quite interesting and shows the challenge of the main protagonist that tries to fight for the right when he tried to escape from the community and bring little Gabriel with him. Jonas, the main character, is an ambitious boy who was given an important role in the community as a receiver of memory. I think it shows the challenge that the main character has to go through. For me, I think that I don't have anything to complain about the story. I really found myself enjoying it a lot. So what about you? Fine. How would you enjoy this?
For me, for me, what I like the most about the story is the world building. In each chapter, we learn a little bit about the community that our protagonists live in. For example, in chapter 5, we learn that everyone in the community needs to take pills that erase their sexual urges. You know, the thing that every teenagers have to face till the day they live in the house of old, or in our world terms is the nursing home. Which is why I love this so much, is that this kind of information makes the world of the giver become much more alive and realistic in a way. What I don't like about the story is that it's relatable. It's so relatable that it kind of hurts me emotionally.
Yes.
So the next question is, what does the text have to do with us?
Well, I think that this relates to nowadays that people are assigned to do the work and live their life, which controlled by the society and rely on, the social expectations. Jonas represents a person who thinks differently from others and doesn't want to tolerate in the same routine anymore because he finds that it's not quite right for him. So he got out of the community and had the freedom of his own for the very first time. It can be portrayed as a person who is likely to be kind of rebellious against the society and doesn't want to follow the rules in real life. So he or she might, want to seek out for the freedom. What about you?
I see.
Hmm.
As I stated before, the story is very relatable with the current issues of the place I am living, as I too once thought where I live was such a lovely place, but now I feel conflicted on what to do next, as that illusions now has been broken by the knowledge of the outside world or the other countries on how much they have it better than us in every single way. So the readers who live in a similar environment as me or Jonas may also interpret the story similarly to me.
Quite interesting. Well, moving on to the next questions. What did you learn and how much were your wills and opinions challenged or changed by this text, if at all? Well, for me,
For me,
Oh, sorry.
you go first.
Okay, thank you. For me, I acknowledge that the the difficulty to live life these days, have to rely on society expectation and norms is kind of hard. People in social living lives in the same way, like they were, setting in the same system, the same function from the same factory, like they are robots. But for some people who don't want to follow those rules and want to be different because they want to be able to do things freely, they might be considered as an outcast to the society. To compare with the present world, in some places where the government would control people to live their lives in a route and tend to control people to think that living life like this is a happy life. But it's totally not at all. Jonas is one of those people who don't want to spend his life in the same routine and always question to the community for the things they have done to others. It shows the truth about humans' lives in the clear picture. To go out of the box that was captured him, he gets to see things in his memory when he was the memory receiver in the real world for the first time. So it is quite remarkable for him. Yes. What about you?
I agree with you, though my experience with the story is a bit different from you, as the story kind of challenged my point of view and makes me to start to reconsider whether freedom would actually bring humans happiness at all, or would it be better for us to live in ignorance? Throughout the chapter 1 to 9, Jonas lived a happy life with his family, enjoying his life by going to school, playing with friends, and helping the citizens by volunteering at different facilities. Overall, His life before the truth reveal was a happy life. But of course, this cannot be applied to everyone in the community. For an instance, when Asher, Jonah's best friend, was young, he could not speak as well as he should at that age. He said smack instead of snack when he asked for his snack, resulting in him getting beaten by the teachers many times as he kept repeating those mistakes. After that, he stopped talking for a while, but somehow recovered from the trauma in the end. On the other hand, the truth may help us see the beauty of the world we haven't seen before. For example, in chapter 17, Jonas decided not to take the pills which made him see more color than ever before, and made him much happier than he ever was as stated in the chapter. He felt happy, as he always had on holidays, but with a deeper happiness than ever before. However, the truth can be as cruel as it was beautiful. In chapter 19, Jonas learned the truth behind the release of the old citizens in the community. He and his mentor watched Jonas' father heartlessly and mercilessly murder one of the twin newborns. Jonas couldn't accept this as he said this heartbreakingly. No one heard the little me cry either. No one but my father. It makes me wonder if Jonas would be much happier if he wasn't chosen to be the new receiver of memories. He would never know the happiness he felt, but he can live in the community blissfully instead of possibly dying in the end.
Wow, that's
And
interesting.
that is the end of my part.
Yeah, that is an interesting point that you stated. So, I think that we come to the end of our podcast. So, before we go, I would like to recap a little bit that what we have learned from this story. May I go first? So, yeah.
Please.
I learned a lot that people have lived life under some conditions, under some rules, under the control of the society, of the social expectations, and that are not the happy life at all. I mean, for some people, for some, they might think that they kind of okay with this life, but people like Jonas, I think that it is quite challenging and very remarkable for what Jonas did, and I think that he is very bravery to finally get out of the community. Yeah, I think that he wants to seek out for his freedom, and that is very respectful. What about you?
For me, well, when I have to summarize this up, I learned that facing reality can be as beautiful as it can be cruel. It can bring you new joy you never felt in your life before. But at the same time, the truth may be hard to accept as it may crash with your belief and so forth. And another thing I forgot to mention is that, just like you said, Jonas is quite brave. Brave enough to facing the new truth he just learned and realized.
Yeah.
Because facing the truth or reality, we need courage and hope in order to believe, or else we've ended up like Rosemary, a previous candidate for receiver. She was a failure because of the giver only gave her good memories for 5 years straight, but then she was received bad memories later on, which made her sad and committed suicide by requesting for her own release.
That is really sad. Yeah, and yeah, we do all agree that Jonas is very brave. Yeah, Jonas' bravery is very remarkable. Well, finally, thank you.
Definitely 잘하세요.
Yeah. Thank you for your opinion, and thank you for the audience too that you have made it through the end of our podcast. Yes, and I think that we will see you later, right? So, yeah.
I hope we see you all again.
Mm.